Good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. This is John Paul Rai, and I am coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. Today, I want to talk about how Rian Johnson deleted his 20,000 tweets, and before I do so, I have to tell you, I did not know that it was John Talks Star Wars who actually found this out first, or made the first video on this. And we know that because he was mentioned by some much larger venues like comicbook.com and things like that, so I gotta thank John for that information, but obviously it's blown up now, so let's talk about it. And how much is there to really talk about? There's a little bit to talk about here, and the main point is the timing in which Rian Johnson did this, and the excuse he gives that John Talks Star Wars reported on was basically, he said, in other words, why not? Why wouldn't I? It's just kind of a safety precaution, I guess Rian was trying to get at. But the point isn't that he did it, it's when he did it. The timing after James Gunn got caught with his disgusting tweets was very uncanny. So the question to Rian Johnson is not, why did you do it? The question is, why did you do it when you did it? And this is another thing that I'd like everybody to keep in mind, is that Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy specifically answer questions like politicians. They don't answer questions like creative people. They just answer things very defensively, very roundabout, and they don't directly address issues. So it feels very strange having creative people in these positions who just talk like politicians, basically. Furthermore, if you defend The Last Jedi, I have to assume to an extent you like Rian Johnson and maybe you defend him. Maybe you think he's a genius, maybe you think he's creative, maybe you think he's a good guy for subverting expectations and us haters really don't get it. Well, you gotta remember this guy is suspect now. What he did is very suspicious. And anybody with a head on his shoulders can see that this timing is really uncanny, and he should definitely go down a notch in your book. And to add to that, I don't see how you could respect a director who's calling fans man babies, and just, not even admitting to anything in The Last Jedi that he did wrong, or could have been better if he's not going to admit things were wrong. I mean, there is actually no wrong as far as a objective opinion, but there were a hell of a lot of things in that movie that could have been done better. Also, if you're defending the Disney franchise and Rian Johnson, then you've got to realize that what he did by dividing the fan base was not a good thing for anybody. Whether you like The Last Jedi or not, it would be a lot better if he just made a movie that was a little bit more on course and consistent with the Star Wars franchise, no matter what happened. I'm not saying it had to be unoriginal or the same. I'm saying if he just respected the characters a little bit better and he didn't have the social justice warriors in the movie like Holdo and Rose and Rey to an extent, then we could just all be enjoying the movie and talking about why we enjoy the movie right now. So I made a video explaining why I think some people like The Last Jedi, and I didn't word myself the best, because I wasn't talking about every single person that likes The Last Jedi. I was talking about maybe a third of them or a fourth of them. And I got a few comments on that video which were actually very well thought out, constructive comments, which I appreciate. But what I want commenters like the person who commented to keep in mind is that splitting the fan base, and somewhat deliberately splitting the fan base, from what I get, is not a good thing. So instead of him coming to my channel and, refuting my points about why people like The Last Jedi, we could have just been enjoying the franchise together and not having this conversation. And that goes for any arguments that are happening around the net with The Last Jedi, with the lovers and the haters. These conversations shouldn't take place. Yeah, there's always going to be disagreements, but it should be a more normal thing. Like, how many arguments do you hear about Rogue One, for example, about how good or how bad is it? How many arguments do you hear about Logan, about how good it is, how bad is it? How many arguments do you hear about Infinity War, about how good, how bad is it? So if you get my point, it's not that hard to make a movie that pleases most of the fans. There's always going to be a small amount of argument, but there's such few argument about how good and bad certain movies are because they're just received well by all the fans. So I got a bit off topic, and I just want to thank John one more time for bringing this out in the open, and I want everyone to keep in mind, it's not what Rian Johnson did, it's the timing that he did it. So if he deleted 20,000 tweets, say, 6 months from now when everything's cool and whatever, people might notice it, but who cares? It wouldn't look suspicious. But when he deletes it a few days, or maybe, I don't know exactly when, but very close to the time that, somebody he's associated with got fired for disgusting comments on Twitter, then that's really odd. And community's growing a little bit. Please consider subscribing. You could click my Super Ray Sue to do so. I appreciate everyone who drops a comment, thumbs up, watches a video. I'm still working on a way where I could just get better with promotion and sound happy like a bunch of other YouTubers out there, but I just can't. I'll shut up now. See you next time.